What's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man Noir. And I've got to be honest, I have conflicting feelings about this figure. We're going to get into the reasons why, but I just want to tell you right off the top, this is going to be like a roller coaster of opinions. But let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, shout out to E. Rivera. He's the one who hooked me up with this. He's been the plug on the Spider-Man stuff for me lately, so I really do appreciate it, E. Thank you so much. He does have a review for this figure on his channel now, so be sure to check that out. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the packaging. He does come with that same whack-ass packaging that we've seen on most of the Spider-Man 60th anniversary stuff, and yes, I still don't like it whatsoever, but we do get a look at Spider-Man Noir right here on the front of the box, along with Spider-Ham hanging out. I'm not excited about this Spider-Ham because we already have him. And then on the side of the box, we get a look at the figures once more. It's like a digital rendering. On the back, we get another look at the figures, and then a look at the accessories that Spider-Man Noir comes with. On this side, we get some digital artwork of the characters, and that's about it for the box. It's very ugly and doesn't look cool. I guess it's collector friendly, but yeah, enough about this ugly ass box. Alright, so here we have Spider-Man Noir right out of the box, and I've got to say, I'm very conflicted on this figure. On one hand, I like him quite a bit. I think he looks very cool, and I'm having fun with it. On the other hand, I do feel like there's a lot of things that are wrong with this figure. There's a whole bunch of lazy routes they took, and they really made some bizarre decisions on this guy that just kind of baffle me. And there's a whole lot of things going on here that I wish were a little bit different. So to put it bluntly, I really don't think that he's worth the increased price tag, but at the same time, I'm happy to have him. So yeah, like I said, I'm conflicted. I guess the best way to put it is that I'm happy I have the figure, and I don't really regret that I bought it, but at the same time, I don't really feel like I got my money's worth. I really think they should have put a little bit more into this whole situation, especially with the increased price tag. But let's go ahead and take a look. So I do think this Spider-Man figure looks awesome. I really like the new jacket that he has. It does have like a unique, flowy, dynamic type of look, and that works for the character because in the movie he makes a joke about like the wind blows wherever I go or something like that. So this jacket captures that idea very well. I do wish that he came with an additional jacket that we were able to swap on, just so that he had like a regular looking jacket, because this one is kind of limited, you know, it's kind of big and awkward and weird. It would have been nice just to have like a regular jacket, and I think it would have helped to justify the price tag a little bit. But yeah, man, I think the main thing this guy has going for him is that he looks awesome. I think, generally speaking, it does capture the look and the feel of Spider-Man Noir. But when you get in close and look at what we have going on here, I don't think that it captures the details of the Spider-Verse version of Spider-Man Noir very accurately. And I kind of feel like Hasbro tried to pull a fast one in that regard, because in the movie, oftentimes he's like in the back of a crowd or he's in the shadows, so it's kind of hard to see the details on him. And I think Hasbro used that to their advantage, and they kind of got lazy with it. But there are plenty of times in the movie where he's like front and center and you could see the details on him. One thing that really jumps out to me as like very inaccurate is the torso. As you could see, his torso is just flat, you know, no details. It just looks like a dude wearing a t-shirt. Spider-Man Noir has like one of those vest things going on that has like the buttons and all that kind of stuff. That's true in the comic and in the Spider-Verse movie, but you don't see it very often in the Spider-Verse movie because all the shadows. But, you know, if you watch it, he's definitely wearing that type of shirt. So I think that Hasbro got lazy in that regard. And obviously, Spider-Man Noir is basically just a repaint of the What If T'Challa, and they did change some details. They gave him new lower legs. They put this little collar on the top of the shirt to kind of make it look different, and then obviously new arms and a new head. And you know, I don't really hate this reuse. I think it's fine, because I don't think that we'll see this body enough to get like bored or just tired of it, you know. Like I don't really see a whole lot of reuse for this body, so I'm okay with them using it again, but it just doesn't accurately capture the look from Spider-Verse, you know. Like it worked very well for T'Challa, but for Spider-Man it just kind of like, it just doesn't work as well, you know. Like I said, he does capture the overall feel of the character, but when you get in close and take a look, the details are very inaccurate. So like, you know, from an action figure perspective, I don't mind the reuse of this body, because I feel like they made it different enough. Like, these don't look like the same figure, you know. I think they did a good job of disguising these parts and making it feel different. But at the same time, I don't think it's very good reuse, because it's not accurate to what it's supposed to be. So again, I'm cool with it because I'm enjoying the figure, but I acknowledge that it wasn't really the best decision. I really wish they would have given Spider-Man Noir an original sculpt. I understand he's not as big as Peter B. Parker and Miles Morales, but man, they gave those figures a whole bunch of love. With Spider-Man Noir, they just threw a bunch of parts together, painted it black, and they just kind of hoped that we didn't notice the inaccuracies, you know? So that kind of sucks, but I do wish they put a little bit more love into it, you know? I think it would have went a long way. But, you know, like I said, I'm enjoying the figure. They could have done a little bit more with it to make me enjoy it even more. But, you know, let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on him. So starting off at the head sculpt, I think they did a pretty great job with this. I like the way the glasses look. I like the way the hat looks. It's all very well sculpted. The face definitely has like a mysterious kind of vibe to it. And that is awesome. And I love the way it looks with the collar and stuff. It looks really cool. Yeah, they did a great job with the head sculpt. And then taking a look at the hat here, you could see all those little dots that kind of give it that animated type of vibe. And yeah, I like that. And they did a good job applying it, you know. They didn't overdo it. They just kind of have it in random spots. And that works well for that animation type of feel. You could see a little bit on his face too. He has some of those dots, like on the mouth area, so that's cool. And then taking a look at the jacket, I think they did a really great job sculpting this. You could see some stitches in the lining and in the collar. There's a little bit of texture to it, which is nice. On the front we have some buttons. The wrinkles are very nicely sculpted. Some more stitching right here, and then we have some more of those dots, so that's cool. And then taking a look at the back of the jacket, it's all sculpted very nicely. So they did a great job with the jacket. Taking a look at the arms here, you can see that we do have the pinless elbows, which looks good. And then some more of those dots. Oh, and then check this out. I absolutely hate this about this figure. If you look at the hands, you could actually see fingernails. So I don't know where the hell they got these hands, but they just took some random dude's hands that doesn't have gloves on and painted them black. Again, trying to use the shadowy darkness to their advantage to kind of get away with laziness. This is weak. No reason for fingernails on this on these hands. Ridiculous. I'm not a big fan of that. I think that is weak. And then looking at the body here, like I mentioned before, the body's just kind of smooth. Not a whole lot of details. I like that they put this collar around the neck. It's not a collar, but it's like, you know, part of his what he's got going on here, whether it's like a turtleneck or whatever. I think it looks cool, and it adds a little bit to it. If it didn't have that, it would have looked whack. So I think that looks pretty good. Moving down into the rest of the body, we have the belt that looks pretty nice. The belt is a soft piece, a floating piece, so you could kind of move it around as you need. But you can see we have some pouches that are very well sculpted. Yeah, so the belt looks good. And then moving down into the legs, there's some details right here from the T'Challa mold that they're kind of hidden pretty well. They're just painted black and you don't really notice them. And we have some more like dots down here that look good. And then down here we have the lower legs. And I think the lower legs are okay, even though they are kind of skinny. The lower leg kind of has like a shiny boot type look to it, so that's cool. But yeah, you know, there are some cool details on this figure, but there are some things that are pretty much just unacceptable, like the things with the hands, the lack of detail on the torso, just little things here and there that they could have done differently to make this figure so much better. But you know, there are some cool things they did. I do like that dotted effect that gives it that animated look. I like the head sculpt a lot, and I like the jacket. So, you know, some good and some bad. And then as far as the accessories go, Spider-Man Noir does not have a whole lot going on. And honestly, I think this might be where Hasbro dropped the ball the hardest because they didn't give him anything interesting. There's so many cool things they could have given this character, but they kept it very basic once again. He does come with two different heads, so that's nice. Here's the first head. It's the one that has the hat on it, and I do love this head sculpt. I think it looks awesome. And then he does come with another head sculpt that doesn't have the hat on, and I think this is very well done too. It would have been nice if he came with the loose hat, so you could have him maybe holding the hat while you have this head on the body. That would have been nice. Unfortunately, this is what we got. I do think both head sculpts are nice though. And then he does come with one gun, and the style of gun is pretty cool. It does match the character. Unfortunately, the gun is made of very soft plastic, so as you can see, the barrel on mine is kind of warped and it's soft, and it just could have been done better. But I do like the style, and I like that it fits the figure itself. Unfortunately, he doesn't come with any hands, which is ridiculous for any Spider-Man figure. I don't care how you justify it. Oh, this Spider-Man's not a web slinger, whatever. Give him fists, give him open hands, just give him something other than awkward ass gripping hands. I think that is whack. And then we also got a Spider-Ham, which is cool, yeah, but they've already given us a Spider-Ham with Spider-Gwen. So, like, if you're collecting these Spider-Verse figures, you already have this. It was a waste to put this in there. They could have given us, like, a Rubik's Cube or an alternate jacket or just anything, like different guns, a Tommy gun, something other than something that we already have. You know, because I think the first one was fine. I don't know, maybe the darker colors on this new one are nicer, but it doesn't justify taking up the spot in the box, you know? They could have given us other cool stuff because we already have Spider-Ham. So damn, that's so frustrating. Alright, so now for some size comparisons. The first thing I wanted to do was show Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham alongside their Spider family. So here we have them with the Marvel Legends Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales, Peter B. Parker, and Spider-Gwen. And I do think they look pretty badass all together like this. Hopefully they give us a Penny Parker so we could complete the team. But yeah, I think they look really cool. I do feel like out of this group, Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man Noir kind of got the short end of the stick because it seems like they put a lot into Miles and Peter. Those are both really, really good figures. I feel like people sleep on them a little bit because soon as they came out, the Mafex and the Sentinel ones came out. So, you know, those versions are obviously way better than these. But I think these are two really, really good figures that people don't really talk about too much because the other versions. But I've got to say, I really wish that they put the same amount of love into Spider-Man Noir that they did with Peter B. Parker. Because Peter B. Parker has awesome articulation. He has a diaphragm cut and a ball joint at the waist. That would have been awesome if Spider-Man Noir had that same thing. Shoot, I think Miles may even have that. Does he have that same situation? Oh, he's got an ab crunch. I was going to say, damn, they hooked both of them up. But still, he does have the ball joint at the waist, so that's cool. But yeah, it would have been nice if Spider-Man Noir had articulation that was a little bit more similar to these guys. But anyways, I do think they look awesome next to each other. And like I said, hopefully they find a way to give us Penny Parker. And then moving on with the comparisons, here we have Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham alongside the Sentinel Miles Morales Spider-Man and the Sentinel Peter Parker Spider-Man. And both of those figures are amazing. I really wish that Sentinel would do a Spider-Man Noir and a Spider-Man 2099 because I feel like they would do an incredible job on both of those characters. And they're both in desperate need of some action figure representation. This is only the second 6-inch Spider-Man Noir that we've seen. And that's crazy because first off, you know, it's Spider-Man. And he has a cool and unique design. You would think that, you know, more companies would take more attempts at Spider-Man Noir figures. He's such an awesome idea for the character, so hopefully Sentinel does it. And I also think that Mafex would do an incredible job with the Spider-Man Noir or a Spider-Man 2099 because they did a great job on both of these figures. I know a lot of people don't like this Miles Morales. I like him. I do think the Sentinel one's better, but I don't think this figure gets the credit it deserves. I still think it's a pretty good version of Miles. And this Peter B. Parker is awesome. This might be my favorite Peter B. Parker. It's weird. I've got a weird opinion on how he compares to the Sentinel one. So one of these days I might have to do a comparison and let you know my thoughts on that. But this might be my favorite Peter B. Parker. You know, I think it represents Peter B. Parker better than almost any other figure out there. Anyways, we'll get into that discussion another time. But I do think Spider-Man Noir looks pretty good alongside the Mafex stuff. And then now here we have him alongside the Mafex Spider-Gwen and the Mezco Spider-Man 2099. And then here we have him alongside the brand new Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and the Mafex Classic Spider-Man. And then next up we have him alongside the Marvel Legends comic book Spider-Man Noir. And this one has a custom jacket from Rebel 10 Customs. Originally, he came with that old Nick Fury jacket that they've been using for like, I don't know, like 12 years or something. I'm glad to see that they've kind of retired that. Like they haven't announced any recent figures with that jacket. But yeah. Spider-Man Noir needs like soft goods, you know. That's why I think like Mezco or Mafex would do an incredible job with him. And then on the opposite side, we have Marvel Legends Into the Spider-Verse Prowler. And this figure was kind of whack. I think he's the weakest out of all the Marvel Legends Spider-Verse figures. And that's another character that, for whatever reason, he doesn't get much love in the action figure world. I really would like to see a Sentinel, a Mafex, or another Legends Into the Spider-Verse Prowler, because this one was really disappointing. And then most importantly, here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And then taking a very quick look at the articulation, there's not a whole lot of surprises here. He does have your standard basic Marvel Legends articulation setup. So, you know, he's posable and you can mess around with them. You could have some fun, get him into some cool poses, but he's Spider-Man, you know. So I wish he would have had maximum articulation. There's definitely some things I wish they would have done differently. They just kind of kept it very basic on this figure in the articulation department and pretty much every department, right? But let's go ahead and take a look. So, starting off at the head, he does have that new style of neck, so it does look side to side with no problem at all. It gets a little bit of tilt, which is cool. It doesn't really look up all that much. Only looks up to about right there. Even without like the hat and the collar causing the limitations there, the neck just isn't capable of that much movement. Then you can look down to about right there. And that's about it for the head. I do like that we get some nice tilt out of it though. And then for the torso, he does have a ab crunch, and the ab crunch only goes forward to about right there, so it's not a whole lot. I really wish that he got more. Doesn't really go back all that much either, and the jacket kind of gets in the way, so it is limited. And then he does have a waist swivel. I really wish they would have given him the same torso as Peter B. Parker with a diaphragm cut and a ball joint at the waist. Kind of import style, you know, that would have been perfect for him, because as it is right now, he has this jacket, so it's kind of hard to mess with them and do your thing. But if you had those two joints, it would have given you a lot more options, and it would have made it easier to maneuver around the jacket. But as it is, it's kind of limited. You can do some cool stuff, but it's just not as fun as that other setup would have been. And then for the arms, his arms do go all the way around. They come out to the side to about right there, which is pretty decent considering he has a jacket on, so that's cool. I really wish he had butterfly joints. Unfortunately, that is not the case. It would have been nice though. Even though the jacket probably would have gotten in the way, but maybe they could have figured that out. I would have preferred the butterfly joint over the way they set up the jacket here. They could have just brought that back a little bit, given him butterfly joints. And then he does have upper bicep swivel. He has a double jointed elbow, which gets a pretty nice bend. Look at that. That'll work. And at the wrist, he has a swivel and a hinge. At the legs, his leg only goes up to about right there. And if you crunch him forward, you could kind of give the illusion that it's going higher. And then, oh, his belt's all crazy. It only goes back to right there. Comes out to the side a pretty decent amount though, so that's nice. Then he does have upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee that only bends to right there. That's kind of weird, just because the way it's sculpted. And then he doesn't have any lower leg swivel, but he does have a rocking ankle. Then it goes forward to right there, then it comes up to right there. So yeah, articulation is definitely, it leaves a lot to be desired. I feel like they took a very basic approach to the articulation and just to the figure in general. But yeah, in regards to the articulation, I really wish there was more going on here. I know that he's not like your regular Spider-Man, you know, like your Peter Parker or Miles or one of those kind of super athletic, acrobatic guys, but he's still a Spider-Man, so you want maximum articulation. In this case, they took a very basic approach. You could still have some fun with it, and you could get him into some decent poses, but just not that many of them. And he's just not all that much fun to handle because the articulation is so basic on him. But even basic articulation on a Marvel Legends figure you could do quite a bit with, but I just wish he had more going on. So I wouldn't really say that I'm happy with the articulation, but I could live with it. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think it's pretty obvious where I stand with this figure. I don't think he's perfect. I think there's a whole lot of things that are wrong with him. There's a bunch of things Hasbro should have done differently, and you know, I feel like the amount of accessories is unacceptable. He should have came with way more. But with all that stuff said, I still like the figure. I'm sorry, don't kill me or crucify me or come at me with the pitchforks and shit like that because I like something. It's just kind of the way it goes down sometimes. You know, I just like it. I like the way he looks. I'm having fun with it. I think it's going to photograph very well. But Hasbro definitely, they kind of missed an opportunity here because there's other companies that have made Miles and Peter and Gwen, and you know, Mafex and Sentinel are doing a great job with it, but nobody has really done Spider-Man Noir. Hasbro could have came through and made an awesome Spider-Man Noir that people would have put with their Sentinel figures or their Mafex figures or whatever. But instead, they kind of just gave us the most basic version of it. And yeah, I think it's kind of funny the way they tried to get around doing the details. It's like, oh, he's shadowy in the movie. As long as he's shadowy in real life, we don't have to worry about the details. That's kind of what they did here. So yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lot more they could have done here, but this is the path they chose. It is what it is. It's flawed, but I like the figure. I will say the amount of accessories that he comes with is unacceptable, especially for the price. It's very bare bones in that regard, and there's no reason to justify that. Sometimes they put out like simple ass basic figures and they go, oh, well, it has this big expensive Build-A-Figure piece, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But at least you could kind of make sense of that. In this case, there's nothing like that. It's not like he has some big cool accessory or a Build-A-Figure piece. You know, he's basic and he doesn't come with anything. The accessories are very basic. So I do feel like for the price, the amount of accessories that he came with are unacceptable. Also, the fact that you could see his damn fingernails on his hands is fucking whack. So again, man, like I said, I'm all over the place with this review. It's flawed, but I like it. And it is what it is. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. If you're not aware, I do go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and every Friday at 7 p.m. and possibly every Sunday at 10 a.m. to drink some coffee and talk about comic books. So come through, let's talk about toys and comics and get weird. Thank you very much. Peace.